Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tuesday evening here on our YouTube channel. As usual, we're going to go over some articles, and we're at number 8 from Shamati. If you're new to the YouTube channel, feel free to look over the 3 semesters of free lectures we have on the wisdom of Kabbalah. And if you like what you hear and see, you're more than welcome to visit Kabbalah.info and join the KABU Academy and study the wisdom with like-minded people from all around the world. In the interim, though, we're going to carry on with some more advanced lessons, as I said, with Shamati number 8. What is the difference between a shade of Kedusha and a shade of Sitra Achra? As usual, if you have any questions, write them through and we'll try to find answers together from the article. It is written in the Song of Songs, until the day breathes and the shadows flee away. We must understand what are shadows in the work and what are 2 shadows. The thing is that when one does not feel his guidance, that he leads the world in a manner of the good who does good, it is regarded as a shadow that hides the sun. In other words, as the corporeal shadow that hides the sun does not change the sun in any way, and the sun shines in all its power, so one who does not feel the existence of his guidance does not induce any change above. Rather, there is no change above, as it's written, I, the Lord, did not change. Instead, all the changes are in the receivers. We must observe 2 discernments in this shade, meaning in this concealment. 1. When one still has the ability to overcome the darkness and concealments that one feels, justify the Creator and pray to the Creator that the Creator will open his eyes to see that all the concealments that he feels come from the Creator, meaning that the Creator does all this to him so he may find his prayer and yearn to adhere to him. This is so because only through the suffering that one receives from him, wishing to break free from the trouble and flee from the torments, then he does everything he can. Hence, when receiving the concealments and afflictions, he's certain to take the known cure, to do much praying for the Creator to help him out of the state he is in. In that state, he still believes in his providence. Number 2. When one comes to a state where he can no longer overcome and say that all the sufferings and pains he feels are because the Creator sent them to him, so as to have a reason to ascend in degree, he comes to a state of heresy, since he cannot believe in his guidance. Naturally, at that time, he cannot pray. It follows that there are 2 kinds of shadows, and this is the meaning of, and the shadows flee away, meaning that the shadows will pass away from the world. The shade of Klippa is called another god, is sterile, and does not bear fruit. In Kedusha, however, it's called, under its shadow I coveted to sit, and its fruit was sweet to my palate. In other words, he says that all the concealments and afflictions he feels are because the Creator has sent him these states, so he would have a place for work above reason. When one has the strength to say this, that the Creator causes him all this, it is to one's benefit. This means that through this, he can come to work in order to bestow, and not for his own sake. At that time, one realizes, meaning believes, that the Creator enjoys specifically this work, which is built entirely on above reason. It follows that at that time, one does not pray to the Creator that the shadows will flee from the world. Rather, he says, I see that the Creator wants me to serve him in this manner, entirely above reason. Thus, in everything he does, he says, the Creator certainly enjoys this work. So why should I care if I'm working in a state of concealment off the face? Because one wants to work in order to bestow, meaning that the Creator will enjoy. He feels no lowliness in this work, meaning a sensation that he is in a state of concealment of the face, that the Creator does not enjoy this work. Instead, one agrees to the leadership of the Creator, meaning, however the Creator wants him to feel the existence of the Creator during the work, he agrees wholeheartedly. This is so because one does not consider what can please him, but what can please the Creator. Thus, this shade brings him life. This is called under its shadow I coveted, meaning one covets such a state where he can make some overcoming above reason. It follows that if one does not exert in a state of concealment, when there is still room to pray for the Creator to bring him closer, and he is negligent in this, for this reason, he is sent a second concealment in which one cannot even pray. This is because of the sin of not exerting with all one's might to pray to the Creator. For this reason, one comes to a state of such lowliness. However, after one comes to that state, he is pitied from above and is given another awakening from above. The same order begins anew until finally he strengthens in prayer. The Creator hears his prayer, brings him near, and reforms him. Questions? Just bear with me. I'm back in action. Okay, what can I do for you? Any questions? Nobody's got. Is there a question? One question. Okay, let's check it out. Asti is asking, the state Baal HaSulam describes, is this a state of lolishma? Since Baal HaSulam only talks about the states in spirituality, how come there's concealment and double concealment? Do we forget about the Creator even after we attain him? When we attain the Creator, we're also going through ups and downs. Remember, when we enter spirituality, we enter from the Sitra Achra of Bia, right? Bia de Tuma. And then we have to correct it. So all of the worlds of Bia, we have to correct. So in every correction, we have to go through darkness. And then we have to turn the darkness into light. It is so. Okay, so even if in spirituality, there's a period where until I go above all my desires, I'm still going to be in lolishma. Lishma means I'm using the desire to bestow. Until I get there, there will be lolishma. So, all right, let's read it all over again, paragraph by paragraph, and we'll see how we go. It is written, until the day breathes and the shadows flee away, we must understand what are shadows in the work and what are two shadows. The thing is that when one does not feel his guidance, that he leads the world in a manner of the good who does good, it is regarded as a shadow that hides the sun. Okay, often we talk about being in the dark, right? Day and night, shadow and light. Okay, so it's the same kind of thing. If we're going through a certain troublesome state in spirituality, obviously, we're talking about spiritual states here. That's a shadow. Sometimes, like I said, we call it darkness. In other words, so he's saying there are two types we need to look out for. Okay. In other words, as the corporeal shadow that hides the sun does not change the sun in any way, and the sun shines in all its power, so one who does not feel the existence of his guidance does not induce any change above. Rather, there is no change above, as it's written, I, the Lord, do not change. So we have to understand that when we're going through ups and downs, we're going through the change, not the Creator. The Creator doesn't change. His actions towards us are always consistent and the same. What does that mean? He's always love and bestowing. That's it. So only we feel the states that we're going through as ups and downs because we are going through changes. Instead, all the changes are in the receivers. We must observe two discernments in this shade, meaning in this concealment. Okay, so when I'm in a descent or when I'm like in a spiritual situation where I feel darkness or the shadow, like he says here, I have to check if I'm in one or the other. What is the first one? Let's read. When one still has the ability to overcome the darkness and concealment that one feels, justify the Creator and pray to the Creator that the Creator will open his eyes to see that all the concealments that he feels come from the Creator, meaning that the Creator does all this to him so he may find his prayer and yearn to adhere to him. So this is a favorable state because he still has an understanding that he's getting a state from the Creator. So he's not completely disconnected from the Creator. So I'm going through a hard time. It's darkness, but I understand it's coming from the Creator. Despite the fact that I am in darkness, I'd like to turn to the Creator to overcome this situation and hold on to the Creator and try to justify him that he is good, that does good, even though I currently don't see it that way. This is so because only through the suffering that one receives from him, wishing to break free from the trouble and flee from the torments, then he does everything he can. Hence, when receiving the concealments and afflictions, he is certain to take the known cure, to do much praying for the Creator to help him out of the state he is in. In that state, he still believes in his providence. So this is the action that we must do. Right? So first of all, I understand I'm in darkness. I understand it's from the Creator. I relate it to the Creator, and I want to justify him. So I pray to the Creator to get strength to overcome this situation. Okay, so this is all good. Right? All honky-dory. Now this comes to the second state. So we can be in another state of the shadow, he says, which is the second state, when one comes to a state where he can no longer overcome and say that all the suffering and pains he feels are because of the Creator sent them to him, so as to have a reason to assent in degree. He comes to a state of heresy since he cannot believe in his guidance. Naturally, at that time, he cannot pray. So he is here ticked off with the Creator. All right, he's obviously upset, and he doesn't, he's just like a child in a tantrum because he can't relate the situation to the Creator. He doesn't want to pray. He can't bring himself to pray. And there will be situations like this. Okay, so the reason he's telling us both of them is because we're going to go through both of them on many occasions too. So there will be times when we will feel really slapped hard, and we won't be able to justify why the Creator is doing such stuff to me. Like, I'm studying, I'm trying to get corrected, I'm doing the best I can. And why am I being terrorized? And at that time, he can't pray because he's upset. It follows that there are two kinds of shadows, and this is the meaning of, and the shadows flee away, meaning that the shadows will pass away from the world. All right. So let's see what we can do. The shade of Klippa is the egoistic version, so the dark side, let's say. The shade of Klippa is called another god is sterile and does not bear fruit. In holiness, however, it is called under its shadow I coveted to sit, and its fruit was sweet to my palate. So in one of the states, I can bear fruit if I use the darkness correctly. And then that could turn into a favorable state. And then afterwards, I can get some taste from that state. If I fail to do so, which is the shade of Klippa, then it's a barren tree. It means no fruit. It means I haven't utilized the situation effectively, correctly, and thus have no benefit from what I just went through. Well, there's always some benefit, but all right, does that make sense? All right, so ask if it doesn't. These are important stuff because sometimes we're going to go through heavy things, and those heavy things need to be overcome by the person. And in order to overcome it, we have to have an attitude towards the situation. Okay, this is what they're trying to teach us. Listen, if you go through such a state, but you still remember the Creator and all is good, then you got the power to turn to the Creator. Great, do it. because that's the only thing that's going to get you out of trouble. But if you're in a harder situation and you can't bring yourself to justify the Creator and see that He's good, that does good, then in that situation, you've got to treat it, a little bit differently. Hey, then you're in heresy, okay, which means completely disconnected from the Creator. Okay, you don't want to see Him, you don't want to talk to Him. It's like a kid shuts himself in his room and says, Mom, Dad, I don't want to talk to you guys. Okay, had enough. So then, how do I treat the situation? Okay. Also, I need to check what is in my hands when I'm in both of those situations. Okay, so if I'm going through the first state, what's in my hand to help me to pray? If I'm going through a tougher darkness, then what's going to keep me on track? Because in the second state, he's really ticked off. All right. So what's going to keep him on track? What's going to keep the person on track? Okay. And if he can't justify the Creator, if he's feeling really upset, well, how is he going to continue? These are all question marks. In the first, he's okay. And the second one, off track. When one has the strength to say, oops, wait, let's read that. I've missed a column there. I've missed a sentence. In other words, he says that all the concealments and afflictions he feels are because the Creator has sent him these states, so he would have a place for work above reason. Okay, so this is important. When I'm going through any shade, I have to come up with this sentence. Whatever I'm getting, whatever darkness it is, I have to, despite the fact that I don't see the Creator or feel the Creator at the moment, I have to look at it like a good opportunity to go above reason. At the end of the day, how am I going to go above reason? I can only go above reason if I continue to work despite unfavorable or dislikable situations. Because if I was liking the situation I'm in, well, I'm always going to go forward. Right? But if I say to myself, well, wait a minute, despite the fact that I'm going through a tough state, I still do want to get closer to the Creator, then that's a good state for me to go above reason. And that is actually called a correction. When one has the strength to say this, that the Creator causes him all this, it is to one's benefit. Okay, so I have to relate everything to the Creator. There's none else besides Him. Remember, we're trying to build a new level of perception. That new level of perception means me and the Creator, our dialogue together. So if I'm to build this new dialogue, it has to be like me and Him. Right? So if I relate everything to the Creator, then I have benefit from the situation because I'm now not distracted. I'm not distracted with other people. He did this and she did this and he said that and she said that. None of that stuff. It's just me and the Creator, clean. Okay. This means that through this, he can come to work in order to bestow and not for his own sake. Why? Because despite the fact that I'm going through an unfavorable state, a state that I am not enjoying at the moment, I, from this evaluation, want to go above reason, which means that I don't care whether I feel good or bad, but I still want to bestow to the Creator. And how I feel is irrelevant. At that time, one realizes, meaning believes, that the Creator enjoys specifically this work, which is built entirely on above reason. Okay, so the Creator, the Kabbalists are saying the Creator specifically likes this kind of work where you're going above reason. Why? Because you're not using your desire to receive for this purpose. Okay. Paradeep is asking if there's none else beside, if there is none besides him, and if the creator does not change, why do different people go through different variations of these states? Well, because we're all different. We can never feel reality exactly the same, despite the fact that reality is one reality for everyone, because we're all different. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Because then a person really feels like the creator created the whole of reality just for you. And that's a really unique feeling, when everybody feels that the creator did this just for me. This is why everybody's unique. Everybody has an opportunity to complete everybody else. And specifically, this is what makes us unique when we come together, connect, and have this beautiful connection and completion of everyone. Okay. Rumesa is asking, why does the Creator bring a person into a state where they cannot even pray? How can one perceive such an intense state? Well, it's actually a good situation, because if a person is going through a rough state, it means he's done some good work. Because rough states come to a person who's done some work. Okay. And now I have to overcome the current state I'm in, because I can't stay in the same state I'm in. So in order to go higher, I have to have an obstacle. Just like in anything in life, if I want to be a better athlete, I've got to, put the gear up. If I want to be, I don't know, a better doctor, I've got to do an extra, I don't know, course or extra practice, something extra to make me better at what I am. If I want to be a better businessman, I've got to do something a bit more effectively, efficiently, differently. I have to add on. Okay, basically, right? If I have a business, I can't keep staying the same way. I have to add on, otherwise the competition will eat me up. Okay, that's just how it is. The same in our work. A person has to add. Now, here, when a person is in a state where, like, it's like complete darkness, he's saying here a person cannot pray. Right? In the second state, a person cannot pray. And he or she doesn't even want to pray. It's like, I'm fed up with the Creator. I don't need this in my life. Yeah? Okay. That's true. But the only way to go above reason then is to take on board the influence of the environment. So then I have to listen to the guide, the Kabbalists, my friends, the articles that are talking to us, and understand that I cannot study spirituality in a desire to receive for myself. I just can't do that. It's just going to be egoistic. And then the study, the lesson should bring me to understand that I have to overcome this, because I can't be egoistic in the study. I just can't. I've got to understand that. If a person, we go through heavy stuff, but if a person accustoms him or herself to the study, then this environment will constantly influence the person. And even if I'm going through a harsh downfall, I'll always feel the support of the group, the environment around me. And that's the only way things can look up for me. If a person is alone and disconnected from the group, a harsh descent, very, very rarely a person will make it. A harsh descent can be exited from if a person made good, considerable effort before he got the descent. Because when I'm not in a descent, if I give all that I have, then that effort I initially did becomes like an insurance policy when I go through a descent. This is why adding to the work is crucial if you want to have that mercy from above that the article is talking about. But if a person did not invest or add during the good times, then what will he eat on the eve of Shabbat, as they say? All right, so this is important. We have to, when the times are good, I've got to step on the gas. So when I'm going through a descent, I've got some stocked up food in the cupboard. Okay, it's my insurance policy. You got to think of it that way. It follows that at that time, one does not pray to the Creator that the shadows will flee from the world. Rather, he says, I see that the Creator wants me to serve him in this manner, entirely above reason. So one should not pray to the Creator to take away his problems. Okay, so I got a problem. I'm not going to go to the Creator and say, take my problem away, make it disappear. Okay, you brought it to me, you make it go away. Okay, that's not the idea. The idea is we understand that's from the Creator, and I've got the problem. If it's a corporeal problem, obviously it probably is. I'm dealing with it with respect to corporeal resources, whatever we need to do in this world according to this world's rules. And in addition to that, I'm still studying and pushing forward so that I can get corrected. This is above reason. All right? So if we have a problem, we just want to go above the problem in order to continue the work. Thus, in everything he does, he says, the Creator certainly enjoys this work, so why should I care if I work in a state of concealment of the face? Now, if a person is in spirituality and wants to correct himself, the Kabbalists are saying, look, in any case, the Creator is happy about it, because when kids take on responsibility and, do actions that are like favorable to their growth, parents are obviously happy, right? Despite the fact that they might cause a mess or two. But the parents are still happy because they're advancing, and we understand children need to be naughty when they're kids. Okay? Children are small. They have to be naughty. They have to be stubborn. And they always have to say no to the things that you want to get them to do. Okay? That's part of being a child, right? But this is how they grow up. Okay. And despite all the struggles, you see that this is how they learn. Okay. So the Creator also looks at us in this manner. We're trying to grow up. And despite all the falls that we're taking, the hits and the falls, we're still trying to move forward. And that is a reason for the Creator to be happy. Because one wants to work in order to bestow, meaning that the Creator will enjoy, he feels no lowliness in this work, meaning a sensation that he's in a state of concealment of the face, that the Creator does not enjoy this work. Now, even though I'm in darkness, which means that, I don't really have a great connection with the Creator right now, but because I want to bestow, I should not focus on how I feel. I want to focus on how it would be good for the Creator to feel, not on what I'm feeling. Instead, one agrees to the leadership of the Creator, meaning however the Creator wants him to feel the existence of the Creator during the work, he agrees wholeheartedly. Okay, obviously, agreeing wholeheartedly is a want. Okay, it's a desirable situation. Doesn't happen all the time, but it's a desirable situation. And if we can bring ourselves in mind and heart to an understanding that, well, if I'm going to go above reason, I want to work above the feeling of good and bad. I don't want to work when I feel good, and I don't want to leave the work because I feel bad. I want to work in any case. Okay. So doing that with an understanding is called above reason. This is so because one does not consider what can please him, but what can please the Creator. Thus, this shade brings him life. So if I focus on bestowing to the Creator, then that is what's going to get us out of the situation. I need the group for that. He doesn't write it here. He can't mention the group in every article, okay? Because I don't know where the Creator is. So if I want to bestow, who am I going to bestow to? The group. There's nobody else to bestow to. Okay? So we have to be a bit sensible here. There's nothing I can do for the Creator. What am I going to do for the Creator? Who am I to do anything for the Creator? Let's be sensible. Okay? So the only thing we can do in order to bestow is to help the friends. Does that make sense? Because I want to bestow. What difference does it make who I'm bestowing to if I want to bestow? All right? This is why a person can never have a direct relationship with the Creator. It's fantasy. The only feedback I can get is from creation. This is why we need each other. And this is why we complement each other. We complete each other because we mutually bestow to each other and we complete each other. The completeness, the feeling of completeness is what's called the Creator. Then you see reality in a whole different way. Then you can say, that's the Creator. And that's what it means to see the Creator. All right? This is called under the shadow I coveted, meaning one covets such a state where he can make some overcoming above reason. It follows that if one does not exert in a state of concealment, when there is still room to pray for the Creator to bring him closer, and he's negligent in this, for this reason he sent a second concealment in which one cannot even pray. All right, so you can see when you're in a descent, you got to make sure you've got a good framework that'll put you back on track quickly. Failure to do so is going to get you a second slap, which is going to be a bit harder, obviously. And in that state, you got no chance to pray. In that state, you're only going to make it if you got good friends. And if you don't have good friends, it's bye-bye. Or as they say, hasta la vista, baby. Okay? That's just how it is. So we have to understand having a good environment, good friends, good framework, the guide, the sources, everything. I've got to surround myself. I got to be like in a cocoon where I'm always getting tips and hints to how to get out of my state of shadow and keep moving and pushing forward for bestowing to the Creator through the friends. This is how the environment also is bestowing upon me. This is why we have Arvut. You see how everything is tied together. Okay, in the wisdom of Kabbalah, everything is tied together. There is no, I'm going to study this. This is one topic, and that's another topic. Everything is one integrated thing. So if I don't have Arvut, I can't get out of these shadows. I need a good team, good framework, good bunch of friends around me. There is no other way. This is because of the sin of not exerting with all of one's might to pray to the Creator. For this reason, one comes to a state of such lowliness. So one must pray at all times, full strength. All the time, full strength. However, after one comes to that state, he's pitied from above and is giving another awakening from above. Now, you have to understand, you won't get a lot of these. Okay, if you're in darkness and if you haven't done what you're supposed to do, the Creator will nudge you once. You get the message, great. The second time, you won't make it. There's a good article by Baal HaSulam, I think it might be Shamati again, I'm not quite sure, where there are two people crossing a river, swimming, and the river is a bit rough. And one of them gets tired and starts to struggle. His friend pushes him, and he gets the encouragement to keep going forward. And then he slows down again and he's tired. And then his friend pushes him again, but this time he doesn't give any effort. The friends have to go forward and leave him behind. It's very much related. You understand what I mean? That everybody has to put their half cent in. Otherwise, we won't make it. And the thing is here, you do get mercy from above. That's true. But like I said, it's really only for those who've really done some effort. They've made some effort. They've put some backbone into it. And that time when they did give that effort is the act of mercy that the Creator is now showing as a kind of a repayment. The same order begins anew until finally he strengthens in prayer. So we are going to go through a lot of these states, and this is why a person must strengthen himself all the time. A child cannot stay the same age. Every day he has to grow. Every day, little by little, he has to grow. He cannot stop growing. This is the same mentality. All right, so we cannot let our spiritual development be hindered along the way because of our wrong attitude. We've got to make sure we're building the correct attitude to the study, the approach, and what we have to do. All right? The Creator hears his prayer, brings him near, and reforms him. Because the only change that can possibly happen is by the hand of the Creator. We cannot change our nature. Any questions? I think we're all done. Okay, so let's hope this resonates with us. I think we've got Shamati also. Shamati 8, maybe we might have tomorrow. Let me just double check. Tomorrow is the 11th. And oops. The 11th, that's the 10th. Let's see, what do we have on the 11th? Oh, I think we've got something else. I don't see. Let me see. Helek 2, Shur. Hi, Veshtat Fitarav. Kol Musag. Yeah, but we've got this. We've got 7 tomorrow. Okay, we've got Shamati 7 tomorrow. So we'll have 8 the day after. All right, we did 7 last week. So we've got Shamati 7 tomorrow. And we'll probably have 8 the day after also. All right. So hopefully Rav will fill in all the gaps and complete the article for us all. I guess that's it, right? We all good? We've got a question. I don't see anything here. Okay, I'm waiting. Okay, so Emotic Films is asking, can you clarify a prayer for me? A prayer is a genuine desire in the heart. And the correct prayer in the wisdom of Kabbalah is when a person is asking the Creator from a feeling of lacking the power to bestow. It can't be, it's not in the wisdom of Kabbalah, we don't have words for prayer. We don't have a prayer book like with, things you do like in religions. A prayer is really a desire in the heart, and the study should bring a person to want to get out of his egoism. And that's a true prayer. It's asking, as you mentioned, in high pressure situations, it's important to remain calm and focus on finding a solution, even when the circumstances are challenging. For example, I faced a similar situation last week where things quickly escalated. While I managed to stay calm and focused, the person next to me was understandably more panicked. In this instance, I followed the necessary protocol, made the calls I needed to, and took action. I trusted that the situation would resolve itself, and after a week, I'm happy to say that the problem has been resolved. Question: in situations like these, what is the best approach when dealing with others who are panicking, especially when you're able to remain calm? Well, in the wisdom of Kabbalah, if we are aware that there's none else besides him, we should all be calm. Right? I've got a situation. If I relate it to the Creator, I just have to take care of it like I need to. Second question: these seems to be a pattern in which the reasons behind certain events become clear, sometimes within 2-3 days, and other times it takes 2-3 months. Is this a typical timeline for how the reasons behind these events are revealed? Well, I wouldn't call it typical, because typical depends on the typical person. All right, everybody's different. So the way you do your work, how you align yourself, that depends on the person. Right? For some person, it could take 2 minutes. For some, maybe 2 weeks. For some, maybe 2 months. So a prayer has nothing to do with words or words and feelings. Well, until a person comes to a true desire, okay, words are necessary. Words are needed, because that's how it is expressed in us until the feeling really boils up. Because we can't get to that feeling straight away. We have to kind of like think about it, do things to want it, try to connect, try to bestow, do all kinds of things in the group. So until it really turns into an inner need, words are kind of inner words that we feel through the study, within the study, are a necessity. So you can't bypass them, but it's not like you're reading from a prayer book. It's really through the feelings and the states that a person is really going through. Mm. And your feelings, for example, and the words that necessarily come out, because how am I going to express myself to myself? It's like a self-talk. That's why the word pray is called hitpalut. It's like an impression, right? From the word late palel. It's like I got like an inspiration, and it's like an inner inspiration. And sometimes when a person is going through states, he's going through those inside himself with words. So their words and feelings are kind of like completing each other, because you're kind of discerning to yourself the state you're in. And this is also why sometimes we're upset and we start, cursing about, or sometimes we're happy and we're kind of like rejoicing with words and so on. And it works both ways. But until a real need clarifies inside the heart, words are like a necessary complementary side dish that you're going to have to take along with you. Yeah, that's a nice question. All right, are we all good? One more? Okay. I'm all yours. Shoot. So we should aim our prayers at the group. The prayer should always be aimed at the Creator via the group, because we don't feel or sense the Creator. So I have to think of the Creator as the attribute of love, and its expression in action as bestowal. And the only place where I can depict to myself what that could be towards another person. This is why also in our world, love is a big deal, isn't it? Like we all want to be in it. We're all wanting to be in it and not being successful in our egoistic nature, but we're all having an aspiration, inspiration, whatever you want to call it, to be in it. So the 10, the group, becomes a place where I can say to myself, okay, if I did love them, what would it be like to love a person without thinking of self-benefit? And if I was in such a state, what would my action be like? What would the Creator do in this state if he loved somebody? So all of these things like thought processes, the exercises, the inner work need to come through the study and my connection and my inclusion in the 10, where I get impressions as to what I can do to support the friends. And then accordingly, I can get feedback, and then I can feel the shadows in those feedbacks as well sometimes. And then I can complain to the Creator and say, look, I was trying to love them, bestow to them, and look what you're bringing to me. And now I have to work on that and then keep pushing, then give me a reason to go above reason, then build another prayer, and so on and so on and so on. So it becomes this like one step after another. It's like I'm walking with the Creator. If I go with that flow, then I'll feel like I'm walking with the Creator. The good and the bad won't matter, but it'll just be about me, my connection to the Creator, by me trying to express my bestowal and love to others by clinging on to those two things, love and the act of love, which is bestowal. Okay. Yeah, we're good. I can carry on all night. Shoot. Okay. All right. No, I can't actually. I've got another program in 12 minutes. All right. I'm going to love you and leave you by force. Have a great Tuesday and see you all next time, hopefully. Bye bye.